Everyone, welcome to the comics live stream. And now we're gonna continue with this page where I'm finally starting to relax a little bit the comic. You know, every time you're making a story like this, there's always the advice of at some point you have to be a little more simple with your drawings because you're gonna do 1,000 pages of this, and if you put too much detail into each of them, then you're never gonna finish. And hopefully you want to do more than one comic. And I really want to do that. So this page is definitely simple. I even have a panel just for text. So shouldn't take me that much more. Okay, so what can we talk about? I didn't think about this beforehand. So one of the inspirations for this story was, and I don't know if you're gonna know this, but have you ever heard about Beyond the Big Bang Theory? A show called The House in the Prairie. It was a very old show, so maybe only the older generation will know what I'm talking about. But it was a very popular show about first settlers or pioneers in the United States. Hello, Akiso. How are you? How have you been with your project? So my mom really liked this show, so I watched it when I was little. And it's a lot about, obviously, I don't know if soap opera is the term, but just a drama about daily life in that time or little issues. And all of those are inspired from a series of books by an author called Lara. So when she was little, Laura Ingalls. When she grew up, Lara Wilder, I think when she got married. And it's a very different life than what I have known regarding lots of farming, lots of traveling around. She apparently lived in Indian Territory sometimes. Obviously without internet, electricity, medicine was rudimentary. So while watching this TV show is when I got inspired to make the story, actually. So the one thing I have in common with that story is that winter is really a survival issue. I mean, even nowadays, I guess in some places, but you could die from it. Lots of kids die because of it. And I don't know, I really like historical stories, or no, that's not the name. Time period stories. Like all the comics I have published, and even the comics I have made for myself, there are very few that are in our era. Most of the time I have them in Middle Ages or 19th century, 18th century. I wouldn't really know where is the female spy one, but okay, this one definitely you can see. It was a time where they used these types of pajamas. And I don't know, Do you enjoy reading those stories? It's also because of the books I used to read when I was little. It was a lot of middle age books uh, about Spain, which has so much interesting history. Excuse me. My cough doesn't want to go away. I'm supposedly healed. It's been 2 weeks since I got sick first, but cough is being very. I was feeling so bad during it, and I was just thinking about this topic of, oh, okay, a winter in this time sucks terribly. So I'm reading a book called The Long Winter by Laura Wilder. That and it's just interesting, right? They have little superstitions that sometimes it's those types of things where it may be superstition, but it might be worth still being careful, like the fact that they observe these animals, muskrats, um, and they say like, oh, okay, they build their homes in the river, basically. And if they build a very thick home, it means the winter is gonna be very bad. And, I searched for it a little like, hey, is this true? And apparently there's not enough scientific evidence, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, the people that lived it um, use those signs, let's say, to be like, okay, it's going to be a terrible winter. We need to be careful. And outside, it was going to be a terrible winter. I can imagine they have as many magazines. And then, so it becomes a confirmation bias, maybe, but, if it helps you be more careful, might as well. Like, oh, I see the birds flying a little earlier, so it's going to be a bad winter. Maybe it's not true, but, you're still taking precautions, which are going to come in handy every time in those times where you can get a very bad cold and die. And so many children died so easily. Oh, fuck. Okay, I usually separate the layer to not make mistakes like this, but it's fine. Yeah, I was having such a horrible cold. I would cough and my head was hurting so much. It felt like shit. I was thinking, well, at least I have, endless supply of tea and and a little bit of medicine and pills for the cough and stuff. And I just imagine in that era, it must have sucked so badly. And even when I was reading this book, they were living in a shanty at the beginning of the book, and the cold would get inside because of the way the wood is built. The cold went in the gaps, and I was like, okay, there's no way they're gonna survive a winter in a place like this. Okay, so Akisa says, last week was slow for me, work and health stuff. Yes, I'm still just adding final details to all my panels before moving on to the flat and color stages. Yeah, of course. Yeah, between work and then having a bad health case. Well, I hope you have relaxed. Sometimes you need to not fight it, right? It's just like, okay, well, the more I rest, the faster the disease is gonna pass. So might as well. So yeah, I did almost nothing, as you can see there. I was just surviving. I'm gonna be able to draw a little bit more, I think, from now on. So I'm not super worried. So I didn't even grow up with snow in my city. Did you? I know we already talked about this. I mean, it just has to do with my comics so much. I guess I have this fascination because precisely I didn't grow up with it, maybe. Who knows? But it's one of the antagonists of the story, or obstacles, let's say. Just terrible winter. So, because of this, I've been meaning to read books that also inform me or educate me about stuff. So, things like cabin fever, extreme loneliness, um, surviving a winter in this era, uh, how to take care of chickens. I haven't gone into that one that much, but I should. What else? So yeah, any stories about this? And it's been I love watching things blogs from people that live, for example, in Scandinavia, in sorry, in fuck, I forgot. Well, whatever, a very cold place, North Pole as well, and how they prepare for the winter. I also really like now. My husband recommended the Otter Boys, I think, and it's this guy that goes camping um, in the winter and stuff as well. And from the North Pole ones, they were getting ready for a very long winter that's completely dark for months where they live. And they need an enormous amount of wood. So it's a very interesting detail, I guess. Did I? Wait. Okay. Boxes. Okay. I really like to always separate in my comic the background from the foreground. It feels to me like it makes my life easier. It may not be true, but especially when I add effects, I can just affect the foreground if I want to. For example, here, multiply for the shadow. That way it's not in the background yet. So what about you? Do you have any, like, what are the topics that you may consume for your story that you wouldn't otherwise? Like, I feel like I have consumed so much about war. But I feel like if I don't take notes, I'm gonna forget. I have consumed so much until now. So many history documentaries. And it makes me that when I see, I don't know, when I travel, makes me enjoy uh, tours way more. Uh, One of the ones I did, I do have it in my in the blog, in the YouTube channel here, is when I went to a fort in where did I go? In Cancun, and it was a fort that was made to protect from pirates and stuff, and also a whole battle between indigenous people and conquerors. I think I barely remember at this point, but I just remember that I enjoyed the experience so much more and seeing all the old ships. I really want to write a pirate story someday. I've been ordering and organizing my old comics when I was little, and I found one that I was like, okay, this definitely can be a full blown comic later, which was very exciting. I barely have the premise though, so still needs a lot of writing. And I guess, and I promise I'm not gonna start any comic until I finish the ones I already created. And also I'm doing this rule to myself, like just one comic at a time, to not end up with unfinished comics ever again. Okay, but we were talking about winter. It's also a matter of the food. I don't know if I've thought this through that well yet. I mean, she has chickens, so she has eggs, I guess. And I do have her have lots of mushrooms and roots. And of course, she has her hunting when she's successful, which obviously in the winter there's less prey, I guess. I'm talking about off my head. I have no idea if it's completely true. But yeah, that's why I'm researching a little. Like, the story is still actively being written at the moment. I hope it works. I guess I never stop writing the story until the page is done. Like, I have the whole story, but I guess I'm editing it, let's say, more and more. I have made so many edits to the story, my goodness, but have you do you have any superstition that actually works? Because I feel like many times I'm very much a believer of science, yes. But I also know that many things happen and then science catches up. Like, there was a time where lots of medicine was, I don't know, just practiced by, my grandma said this root, this plant helps. And then medicine or science is like, oh yeah, this plant helps, blah, 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 because of this. But it's like, okay, it doesn't mean that they knew exactly why, but they knew it worked. So they were just catching up. I haven't been practicing my art enough yet. Okay, I guess we can do this. Have you been watching anything interesting that informs your story too, or just enjoying? It's so annoying that I don't check sometimes my specs on how in the bucket tool and stuff, and then I need to be fixing I only just checked for a few seconds. Akisu says, I don't know why the message is loaded until now, so I'm sorry if I'm late. But Akisu says, I feel like a lot of artists always end up writing characters or elements from perspectives completely different from their own. Yeah, I know that. I mean, I do relate to many things of my own character, but I also don't want to write about myself. I'm not super interested in self inserts or stuff like that. I think there's that advice of write about what you know, and I think that's true. Half of it may be what you know, but I think it's very interesting to also explore new themes, questions you actually have, or a message you want to convey, or explore. Do not preach to people at all, but just like, do we really need people? Is a question that's very prevalent on this comic. Or what things humans can do when they're desperate. How much to judge. And it's very funny because a very important question I do have in two of my comics is my main characters do things that can be almost unforgivable or just unforgivable. And I do want them to have a happy ending. But then at the same time, I hate the message of, if you don't forgive, blah, blah, blah. You can forgive, let's say, but, you don't have to reconcile. So, yeah, I need to explore those. And I have the ultimate consequences, of course. Curious Comics says survival stories are so interesting. Yes, I agree. And Agisu says, oh, like home remedies. Yes, exactly. Home remedies. Especially in that era, right? It's not like you went to the doctor and they knew exactly. Sometimes they suggested weird stuff. So might as well, if your grandma always said that eucalyptus helped for the nose during winter, you're like, okay, I'm gonna use it because I do actually see a difference. So regarding survival stories, yeah, in this book that I'm reading about the long winter, they actually move into town, which I was like, oh, that was an option all along? Interesting. And I'm glad because I was like, there is no way they can survive in the shanty. The fact that, the ceiling was collapsing, snow was falling on their fucking beds. And that it didn't feel relieving to be inside that much. It was still super cold. I was like, okay, this was the first blizzard. If the winter lasts as long as... So there's this Indian character that was saying like, okay, this winter is gonna last like 7 months. You white man should know that. Very, very, very nice of the Indian guy to help these intruders. So now they're on the town, which I wonder, is it... I guess it's gonna be better because the building is way better. But I wonder if it's also gonna be easier to get sick from others because there's so many people. And it's very interesting, right? Because I watched this, the show I told you, House on the Prairie, and I hadn't read the books ever. So I'm seeing how the real personalities are, or experiences. And the main character is not comfortable at all being in a town with so many people. Like, she's used being only with her family, only on the fields, gathering hay with her dad. And she hasn't even gone to school yet. She's apparently going to start, and she's very nervous about it. And I have lived in a city my whole life. Obviously, with the internet, everything's so fast paced. It's very interesting to see how way more introverted you can be. Curious Comics. Important thing is the story must be realistic. Some people carry grudges to their graves. Yes, that's true. It's also a matter of course, I agree with the, hey, if you're actively hating all the time, like if it's something you think about constantly, it's indeed robbing your peace. I agree with that. And I think that's not a good way to live. But I also think you can decide to not forgive a person and then not think about it ever, or almost never, and be completely at peace with that. And I think stories sometimes do not portray that. Not that I'm going to portray that, by the way. I haven't decided some aspects, but I think this is not a very explored topic. Most people agree like, oh, you should always forgive and be a good person and be the better person or the bigger person. And I hate that message. You don't have to be a cunt, but I think you can perfectly be fine just ignoring the person that hurt you. Just, kick them out of your life. You can and just move on. I guess so. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Using elements from your experience to explore different topics without being self-inserty. Thank you. I'm glad you agree. Curious Comics. Would never think someone your age would watch Little House on a Prairie. Yeah, I watched many old shows because of my mom and old movies. And I'm very grateful because it allows me to not be one of these people that's like, oh, it's super slow. Or just, you cannot enjoy things unless they're super fast paced. So I have watched many old shows. Little House on the Prairie, Cheaps, A-Team, so many black and white movies. So yeah, I have watched many old movies and shows. I don't know if I would watch it again at this age right now, but it was cute for when I was a little girl. And I think, so there's this study that shows that if you read a lot or you experience in some way very different lives from yours, you have more empathy or you have more perspective. And I don't think it helps to not feel like, oh, this is the worst era in the world. Yeah, we have a lot of problems, of course. There's always a lot of problems, always. So we just have different ones. And I'm very attracted to the idea of no internet, no instant communication, messaging, enjoying life, and just reading. An activity I started a little bit with my mom when I was sick was that I was so tired of TV that we started reading out loud from books, like old people in old times. And I think that's lovely. Also, it's the only way I read mystery novels slow enough to actually figure out who the killer is. But and I have thought many times that maybe the reason I'm attracted to this is because I have this belief that maybe if I am as bored, not, I don't know if bored is a word, but as when I was little and I had no internet nor TV as much, maybe I would write more stories, because many of the authors I admire had apparently, maybe not lots of time, but maybe more time and way less distractions, because it's like, okay, I'm super bored. I have no TV, imagine. So I have to tell myself a story. That's what I used to do when I was little. And I would tell myself stories obsessively. But yeah, I also started Bonanza a little bit, but I didn't watch that much of that one. I think I was too small. I think it starts with a scene about a guy was being gentle to a prostitute. I don't even remember, but it was a very cute, the characters are very wholesome, so it doesn't go the way most shows go nowadays, where everyone has so many secrets and they're just very, very hedonistic. So who knows? So I'll continue telling you about this book, I guess. I'm loving the get it ready for winter thing. Yeah, it's also one of the reasons when people say like, "Oh, this is a very old movie. It's from the 2000s." It's like, what? That's not an old movie. I'm sorry. Old movie? Tell me a movie from the 80s, 60s, 50s. I love new stuff, of course, too. Way more, but. And I'm really very immune, almost honestly, to. I guess it's also because I actively am indeed a digital minimalist, so I don't consume everyone's opinion like it matters. But if someone says something like, "Hey, you don't know the slang from young people nowadays," or you don't, like, you shouldn't be watching this old stuff, I don't give a damn. I don't care at all. Oh, like, you look like you sound like an old woman. Okay, whatever. I enjoy what I enjoy. I think, again, I have talked already about this, about consuming media from different cultures, from different eras and time periods. You realize how arbitrary many things are. Whatever. We're all gonna die. And it's fun what things were cool back then, things that are cool right now. Again, it goes to show how arbitrary it is. And there are many things back then that I find cool to my own taste. And if other people do not, I don't care either. I remember, for example, when I cut my bangs, it was just because I was in the mood of bangs. I really wanted them. I was a little influenced maybe by South Korean old shows. I really like how it looked because my main idea was my hair is always a mess, right? So it was the easiest way to make it look like I put some effort, to just put a tube in my head and then I'm done for the day. And then I remember going to a hairstylist, and the hairstylist was like, "Oh, you're like in fashion because now it's coming in Hollywood, blah blah blah." I don't know, and I was like, "Oh, I had no idea. I was imitating in shows from the 90s, so from Korea, South Korea. So, okay, good to know." Akisu says, I thought about running that experiment for myself recently. I think I'm more attracted to the idea of slower communication than no communication, though. Oh, yeah, I completely agree. No communication is deadly, I think. We're phones, and the worst thing that could happen when you drop them is the battery fails out. Lol. Yeah, I agree. I think there's gonna be a pendulum movement for people our age. It's already going on where there's a lot of people seeking digital minimalism precisely because they see the people that are obsessed with the phone, which are not always young people, by the way. There's a lot of very old people that are very easily influenced by technology. Like, there are moments where I look around and my dad is the one that is glued to his phone. It's also because he has a business and he needs to a little, but. So I'm definitely not being specific about what generation what. It's just not criticizing anyone, except people glued to their phones, maybe. And I have been glued to my phone as well, so it's not a commentary on anyone specific. It's just interesting, especially if it's not serving you. Yesterday I was hearing a mom. There's this woman, I really like her. And she has this son that came back to live with her. And she was okay with it at the beginning because, he was sick. But then he stayed. And it's not like he has no money to leave. He's just taking advantage that the mom is there. He doesn't even eat properly. It's one of those adults that he can work from the phone and the computer. So he wakes up whenever, he doesn't eat, he has a terrible posture, he's in constant pain, he's already having 2 eye surgeries, his health is crazily bad. He's addicted to his phone, of course. Like, when the mom tries to have a conversation with him, it's very, very difficult. And he's also rude to her, of course. Fucking children. Well, this kid, at least. And it's just crazy how easy it would be if he was like a normal adult and you could just have a fucking normal conversation. But, the phone. And the mom is not the type of mom that would kick him out. It's one of those moms that loves their children unconditionally, as it should be, kind of, but I guess I'm very, 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 very in favor of conditional love. I'm sorry. I think there are some limits you should have, but, well, the point is, right now this guy, it's not really a kid, it's an adult. He earns a lot of money. He's very skilled. He's super intelligent, of course. IQ, not EQ at all, of course. Usual. But they don't take into account that can go away. Hey, he already had 2 eye surgeries. He can literally become blind. But of course, he doesn't save. He doesn't think of the future. It's just crazy that I guess he expects the mom to always rescue him. God. And of course, the mom is gonna rescue him. Another reason I'm so glad I don't have children. God. Curious Comics says, any folklore in Winter Secrets Nordic? It is a little inspired by like the aesthetics, and some of the things are inspired in a little bit of Russia, but also a little bit of, pioneers in the United States in that time as well, I guess. And a little bit of whatever I find in Pinterest. I guess folklore is not really. I don't have anything in particular like that. Do you have a story you're working on, Curious Comics? Or are you just you're enjoying a lot of reading interesting things? I think you know a lot about comics, so just curious. As you can see, I'm in a new Airbnb. It's very pretty, the light is very good, and the internet is working way better than the last one. God. Well, I'm gonna definitely continue this page. I'm coughing a lot, so I don't want to annoy you. Gotta have my tea. Continue coloring, maybe. I was gonna cancel today, actually, but I was like, no, I promised a live stream every week. And unless I really have a good reason, I'll make it work. I think the next week might be difficult. I don't remember exactly why. Oh, I remember why. I'm going back to swimming because my body has been hurting me. And if I don't take care of my body, I won't be able to draw at all. Or work for that matter. So I need to prioritize exercise, and I need to swim next week. I'm also saying goodbye to so many people because I'm moving to another country for 2 years. Oh, it's official now. I'm moving to the UK. So I'm gonna experiment with her. Woo! Apparently I'm going to a not that cold of a city, but who knows? I'm very curious if I'm gonna see a snow, but I doubt it. I think I'm just gonna see rain and experiment lots of cold. But apparently, first world countries have lots of heating inside the homes. So yeah, I'm gonna experiment winter. I tell everyone that in Mexico City it rains a lot. Actually, there's been people from London that have come here because of the World Cup, and they have said that it rains more here. I think I already mentioned this. Sorry. So it rains more here, but the good thing is that during every morning the sun does come out. So it may rain, but we also have the sun in the same day. Meanwhile, it seems that in the UK, especially London, it rains all day. So all day is gloomy and very grey. So yeah, I'm gonna see how the winter pans out. It's gonna be interesting. Curious Comics says, still working on Sword of the Mantis. Yeah, I was wondering, actually. I put Japanese folklore in the story, mostly traditions related to yokai. Very nice. Those are like evil spirits, right? I don't know if evil, but yeah, that's very, very nice. I do want to see more about the side characters too. Agisa says, well, I'm glad you dropped by today. And yeah, take care of yourself. Enjoy swimming. Thank you. Curious Comics, are you blogging your trip? Yes, I'm gonna blog my like some sort of update, but at the same time, I'm gonna give advice on how to reactivate comics from hiatus because that's what I'm basically doing. And again, I'm gonna have way more time to do comics. So I'm very excited. So if I edit it very well, it can be a very, very cool video. Akisa says, summer might be rough in the UK. Yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be awful. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I know that there's this heat wave that's terrible in Europe right now, and apparently they don't have AC. Now, I'm used to not having AC, and during heat waves as well, kind of. But I'm a fan of fans. I do have my fan in my house, so I'll probably try to buy one because I cannot survive the heat. I love the cold, so yeah. Curious Comics says the yokai can be good or bad spirits, cryptids. Very cool. Yeah, I think I knew a little bit about it, but not enough. That's very nice. I'm so glad you're still with your comic. I hadn't heard much about its progress, so I'm very, very glad. Well, guys, I really need to do some things, but I'll see you next week. Good luck with your projects, and thank you for tuning in. Bye. Feel free to comment whatever topic you want to talk about, but yeah, take good care. Bye.